Hi, everybody. It's Erica Robinson from In the Company of Cards. This will be a little bit different than what I have been doing with you of late, but I thought it was important to do it. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Welcome back to my old subscribers. We've been together about 2.5 months now, and the channel has really grown. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support and your kind words of encouragement. They really mean a lot. So today I am going to post some cards towards the end for all of us, but I wanted to tell you a story, and I hope it will be edifying, encouraging, helpful, all the rest of it. So today is an anniversary for me. I became a widow unexpectedly 16 years ago today. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, listen, I am no astrologer. Let's get that clear up front. However, I do know a little bit. And so one of the things that I know is that Pluto has been in Capricorn for the past 16 years. In fact, Pluto went into Capricorn on October 11th, 2008. My husband died the next day, October 12th, 2008. So, what is the significance? Well, for me, it was a lot of things, but in terms of astrology, Pluto having moved into Capricorn, it gives us an opportunity to foundationally recreate ourselves. And that really is what has happened for me in the past 16 years. I was a public school teacher. I was a mom of a teenager. I lived on the East Coast. I owned a home, all of it. And my life in the past 16 years has been literally completely recreated. Now, this span of Pluto in Capricorn is coming to an end. It's doing its last little retrograde foray until what, November something. But as of November something, Pluto will move into Aquarius. So let me tell you this story. So the story is that uh, a year ago, I was sitting with my husband. We had a beautiful day. It was an October day on the East Coast, sunny, cool. He had raked leaves. I had made chili. And we were just sitting and talking one evening. And he said to me, he was wearing a pair of socks that I had knitted for him. So he said, "Oh, Erica, I love these. I don't know why my computer's doing this. Hold on. Here I am trying to tell this really cool story. Okay. And so he said, Erica, I love these socks. When I die, bury me in these socks. And I said to him, bury you in these socks. First of all, nobody's going to die. Second of all, I can't bury in those socks because there's a hole in them. Um, and I'd be embarrassed. And we laughed. And then I don't know what came over me, but I got this urge. And I said to him, his name was Dewey. I said, Dewey, whoever goes first has to let the other one know if there really is something, after. And I thought he would laugh at me or at least smile or something, and he didn't. He looked very seriously. It was very serious. He was across the room from me, and he stuck his finger out. His pinky went like this. And I thought, well, the only thing I know that this means is, like kids do, pinky swear. I went over to him and we linked pinkies and we swore that whoever would go first would let the other one know if, in fact, there is something after. Well, a week later, today, 16 years ago, he unexpectedly died. I went from the hospital. This sounds crazy, but I went from the hospital to the knitting store. And I bought the softest, most expensive wool gray wool that I could find. And then I started to knit. And I was over at my mother-in-law's house, and people were coming in, and they were, giving condolences to the widow. And I would say, "Oh, thank you," but I kept knitting. And they would say, "What are you knitting?" And I said, "Socks." And they would say, "Well, for whom?" And I said, "For my husband." And I could see out of the corner of my eye people looking at each other like, "Does she know he's dead?" Oh, I knew he was dead. And I knitted, 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 knitted far into the night and into the next morning. And I was so glad that I was able to take brand new, with no holes in them, socks to the funeral home to be put on his feet. You know, I kept my promise. He said, "Bury me in these socks." And I did one better. I buried him in a brand new, just knit for the purpose pair of socks. And that brought me a lot of comfort. I didn't think anything of it after that. But then strange things started to happen. Like, for example, I had to find the deed to the house, and I had no idea where it was. And I just said, "Dewey, I need to find this paper. Help me." And it was all of a sudden, it was as though I was in a daze, in a haze. And I just sort of walked like a automaton over to a pile of papers, and my hand just went into the pot and I pulled it out, and it was the deed to the house. There were so many experiences that happened that let me know that he was helping me, that he was showing me that when we leave, we're not gone, that there is more afterwards, which led me to tarot cards, and I would read those. And then it led me to Lenormand, the deck that I read for all of you, or the system that I read for all of you. At the time, there was very little available in writing on how to read Lenormand. There were resources in French, and I could read those. And there were resources in German. I could not read those. There was one resource in English, read that from cover to cover, and learned everything that I could learn about this system. And I became pretty good. And there was a spread that is traditional in Lenormand that involves all the cards together. So I had laid this big spread out on my bed, and I'm looking at it, and it's swimming in front of my eyes. It's just so hard. I couldn't figure it out. And I heard a voice. Now, let me just say, I know I have a weird voice. Beyond that, I can't hear in my right ear. Never, since childhood, since infancy. But I heard a voice in my deaf ear. Beyond that, the voice that I heard was my husband's. So I'm sitting there and I'm staring at this card spread, and I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. And then I hear in my deaf ear, "Erica, it's not childbirth." And I thought, wait a minute, what? First of all, I just heard something in my deaf ear. Second of all, it was Dewey and he's dead. Third of all, what did he just say? It's not childbirth? What does he know about childbirth? Just saying, these men. And I thought, well, okay, he said it's not childbirth. What is childbirth? And I remembered from my own experience, it is hard work. It involves a lot of bearing down and attention and focus, right? And I had done all of that. I had memorized all the numbers. I had memorized all the cards. I had memorized all the combinations. I had done all the hard work. But he said, from this point, it's not childbirth. So, what is the opposite, I thought, of bearing down? Well, the opposite of bearing down is letting go. And as soon as I let go, the spread that was on my bed with all those cards became crystal clear. And I became the reader whom you know today. Um, it's pretty phenomenal. And so I've been reading cards ever since then, and have, in fact, foundationally recreated myself. Now, as I said, Pluto has been in Capricorn all that time. I am now fully 10 years older than my husband died than my husband was when he died. And he was 6 years older than me. He would probably look at me in today and say, mm, it's a lot of gray in your hair, old lady. You know, but now I've told you that Pluto is moving into Aquarius. And what is Aquarius about? Well, Aquarius is about you know, expansion, right? So we're asked, um, you know, what can I say? We're looking at the collective good with Aquarius, right? So Aquarius is asking us to be bigger than we are, more expansive than we are, you know? And I think that that was what drew me here to YouTube. I've taught lots of classes on Lenormand. As you know, I've written a book on Lenormand. I have my own deck. I've spoken at conferences internationally, but something drew me here. And so, what I try to do here is to sort of, my goal is to show you all that we're not alone, that there is more, that spirit, that our ancestors mean us well, and that you don't necessarily need experts like me in order to tap into your connection to spirit. But I'm here to sort of show you how to do that, give you a tool, show you a tool for how to do that, and give us some hope, some encouragement, some admonition sometimes with the cards. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I wanted to tell that story, is that we're moving from Pluto in Capricorn, which is reinvention, to Pluto in Aquarius. What can we do to take these ways that we've maybe been reinventing ourselves for the past 16 years? Because it's not just me, it's all of you. In what way can we take that reinvention of ourselves and use it for the common good, for the collective, right? So I thought that I would draw 5 cards, and this is a spread for all of us. What do we need to know as we move from this 16-year period of Pluto being in Capricorn? And it wasn't the easiest thing, right, for any of us, I suspect. What can we do to live out that reinvention that we experienced? How can we bring what we've learned to the collective in a wider way? So, for the common good. So let me just pull 5 cards for that, and then I'll let you get on with your day. Okay, so we're just going to cut the deck into 3. What message is there for all of us on this anniversary and on this auspicious day for all of us? What can the universe tell us? Okay, so we have scales, child, cross, house, coffin. Okay, let's see what we can make of that. This message is for all of us. As we launch into this next 3-week period, which is bound to be intense, and it won't end, the intensity of it will not end in 3 weeks, just so you know. Okay, so we have scales, we have child, we have cross, we have house, we have coffin. Okay. Scales, remember, this is the card that I added to the system. This is not in the original Lenormand system, but I wanted a set of scales that had heavy coins on one side and a couple of daisies on the other to talk about sort of cost benefit analysis. What do we value in any given moment and why? No judgment about that from me, but certainly it's something that we should judge in ourselves. Why am I picking this over this? Or why in the moment am I picking this over this? Okay. So this is about balance. And we, balance is not an easy thing to achieve in these difficult days. Okay. Child, are there new ways that we can seek balance in our lives? I mean, I'm sitting here trying to show you a new way that you can seek balance in your lives because God knows cards, Lenormand has certainly helped me achieve balance. And that the pain that we have experienced is not for nothing. Widowhood was so tough for me, I have to tell you. It, it was painful. But I also know that through pain, we can grow in compassion. And compassion is called for, right? Um, how can we learn to be at home with ourselves and with each other? Well, the last card is the coffin. I can mirror the set of scales with the coffin. Maybe we need to transform what our priorities are, cultivate our relationship with spirit and the ancestors. Because God knows they've been here, done that. We can learn a lot from communing, so to speak, with them. I do it with you all through cards. Okay, so that transformation is important. Child is something new and it mirrors house. And I've said this before in many of my readings, we are trying to decide as a body politic, as a country, as individuals, who are we? Who have we been? Whom do we want to be? Who do we want to be? Right? It looks like we have an opportunity to be something new, something we've never been before, something we may have told ourselves we are, but we've not been before. And, with this in the center, there are, there was a book from a poem, and the book's title was from a poem. My life ain't been no crystal stair. Nobody's life, except for Cinderella. Nobody's life has been a crystal stair. Life can be really hard. Um, I listen. I watched a little short video on Instagram, and it was Jane Fonda. She's quite old at this point, and she said, I suffered from depression, and it was genetic. So I've always suffered from depression, and I learned that exercise could alleviate my depression. And that's great. Well, of course, now she's like, what, 80 something? So who knows, what kind of exercise she's doing. But she said, I get depressed now because I think of the climate crisis. And she said, I discovered if I just take an action, if I do something to help, this is the card for altruism. If I do something, just like the exercise helped me back then, if I do something, if I work for the cause of climate renewal, my depression goes away. So I am suggesting to you, if you are feeling some type of way about what we're going through, and are we not all feeling some type of way, look to see whom you can help and how. In my grief and in my sorrow and in my confusion as a widow 16 years ago, I found cards. Cards helped me. Lenormand helped me. Now I am using Lenormand to help you. What is your tool? What will your tool be? Because Pluto moving into Aquarius is asking you not only to find what tool will work for you, but what tool might you use towards the common good? I wish everybody a great Saturday, a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. Please like, share, subscribe. Take care.